Yeah, boy.
What's going on, guys? Hope you're doing well. It's been a bit since I did anything with Outward mods, and someone recently asked me to review one, so here we are. This is my review of the Purifier Mage mod. It was created by user Scar Jaguar or Scar Jaguar, and honestly has a pretty low number of downloads compared to its quality. So do check this one out. This skill tree can be found in the first town you begin at, Cierzo. Walk into the main square and you'll find a new mage named, I guess, Riley, who teaches the essence of purity. Simply put, this NPC is a Purifier Mage who is entirely based on support. So while this can be used in solo to some decent extent, it's 100 times better in co-op since, well, that's what it was designed around. I did throw on debug mode to show this off, as you can't get both the top tier skills without it. Both have pretty good skill pictures that do work, but this is why they won't be showing in the mini box. Two things to note immediately about this skill tree is it feels very lacking. There are only 4 total skills and you can't get one of them. So you only get 3 skills out of this and none of them do any damage whatsoever. It's also very expensive. The bottom skill costs 150 silver. The breakthrough costs 600 silver. And to get either of the third tier skills, you need 1,500 silver. It's an insane amount. That means you won't be getting this early on. But before you write this off as bad, I just want to remind you it's a healer and support skill tree. It has very few skills because you'll be using a lot of other tier 1 skills from other trees inside the sigil to do different effects. So if you instead look at its combination of skills, you get possibly more around 6. And the high cost will make sense later when I describe the skills. This could be a pretty OP skill tree for a mage, especially if you were able to grab it early on. First up, we have the Cleansing Ritual skill at the very top right. I'm going to go over this one to start with because I had some issues with it, and no one's taking this over the other one, trust me. Again, you can't have both of the top ones. The other skill is pretty powerful and makes this one pointless almost. Cleansing Ritual requires these ritual herbs to use, and upon activation, it instantly gets rid of all affliction or debuffs on you and your allies. This could be a really strong ability because you could activate this and take away all the debuffs such as poison, plague, and any of that stuff on your tanky partner, allowing them to continue getting hit but never actually take that much damage. It makes a very loud sound, which I wish it didn't, but does make it look pretty cool. To craft those ritual herbs, you need to combine occult remains, blood mushroom, gabberries, and crebe seeds together in your survival section. This makes you work for the ability, but I like it and think it could be used very well in co-op and give you a fun experience. But here is the one problem. Unless I am brain dead or simply missed something, it's actually impossible to craft these ritual herbs, which kind of makes this entire skill useless. It tells you exactly how to do it, and apparently the shopkeeper Dorian is supposed to sell a recipe for them as well. For me, however, he did not sell the recipe, and when I checked debug mode for the recipe itself, it doesn't even exist. Also, it's impossible to craft crebe seeds and gabberries in your survival section. You can in the food or alchemy, but not in the survival one. So while this was a super cool skill, I was not able to figure out how to get the required items without cheating them in. Please comment down below if you happen to figure this one out, as I just simply wasn't able to. Back at the tier 1 skill for this tree, we have the one and only Healing Light. It costs 20 mana, making it not as easy to cast as something like Spark, but it heals you and up to I think 3 other allies. Its cooldown is enough to use 2 or 3 times a fight depending on your mana, and it gives a pretty nice amount of health. Since this is the only skill you can get early on, it's pretty strong, and the distance at which you can heal a partner is farther than you might think. Having such an easy way to heal up in and out of combat is super convenient, and well worth it. The breakthrough for this skill tree is a sigil called Sigil of Life. It does nothing on its own, but does have a pretty cool yellow glow on the stone. It does use the ice sigil animation partially, and because of this you get cold while standing in it. Trust me, it takes a while for this to matter though, so you can mostly ignore it. You can use several other skills in this sigil, and I'll go over that here in a bit, but as for the sigil itself, it looks cool and cools down by the time that one you placed will have run out. infinite sigil essentially, which is again very useful. Now we have the tier 3 skill on the left side of this skill tree. By far the best ability here as it's crazy strong. It's a passive that will cause your sigil to restore 2 mana and stamina every second while you're within it. This makes your sigil useful even if you don't use the other skills inside it. You have infinite mana and can then use other sigils or any magic really to do damage instead of focusing on support. It's a very significant amount of mana regen, as well as taking your stamina back to basically full. Well worth the money it costs to get. This is why you need so much money to buy the skill in the first place, because infinite mana clearly destroys the early game with no effort. Oh, and it gets even better. The sigil just does this on its own, meaning it also regens your co-op partner. Yeah, your friend can heal themselves using it, gain full stamina back, and become basically immortal. This could be cool to throw down and then have a tanky mage stand inside casting explosion magic while you heal them up. It leads to endless possibilities for co-op shenanigans, or as I like to call them, shenanigans. Yeah, I know, that was pretty bad. But still, it could be pretty darn awesome if you paired up your builds the right way. Now for the abilities you can use in the sigil, and again, these work for your partners. Spark plus Sigil of Life gives you Spark of Life. Heals the caster for 20 HP instantly. This is an instant heal of 20 health that can be cost over and over since Spark only costs 5 mana. It's a very easy way to stay alive or heal after battle. Reveal Soul plus Sigil of Life gives you Gift of the Soul. Bestows mana on your allies at the cost of your own. This isn't needed if your partner stays in your sigil, but if he or she moves out for combat, you can keep restoring their mana so you have another way to play a more tanky mage. Mana Push plus Sigil of Life gives you Second Wind. Bestows stamina on your allies at the cost of your own. This one will give your partner stamina, which is huge. Stamina is a big problem for many builds, especially when you talk about fighting bosses. This could help alleviate that issue for your partner. Mana Ward plus Sigil of Life gives you Rejuvenation. Release rejuvenating energy into the world around you. You and your allies recover HP over time for a brief period. This is awesome as it provides passive healing over time. Not for very long, but enough to be very useful and give you a chance to help in combat rather than focus on support only. Cleanse plus Sigil of Life gives you Group Cleanse. Removes the requirement for the caster to have 50 plus corruption. Removes 300 corruption from caster and nearby allies. You must still deal with the negative effects and it still requires a mana stone. This allows you to easily remove corruption for you and your friends. Completely removes the need for you to be corrupted, which allows you to get rid of any corruption level. It does require taking the Hex Mage skill tree since Cleanse is in that tree, but it's well worth it if you hate corruption. Your partner can take on Scourge enemies while you keep him or her from ballooning up to 100% corruption and dying. And those are all the skills you can use in the sigil. Spark, Reveal Soul, Mana Push, Mana Ward, and Cleanse. Pretty much what I have on my hotbar is useful, and this really is the ultimate support tree. Your co-op partner gets all kinds of healing, stamina regen, and mana regen from you and your sigil. It's a little too good if used by yourself, because you can use the sigil simply for the regen and then spam high damage magic attacks with no care for mana whatsoever. But if used as support like it's supposed to, it makes for a very different and fun playstyle you can't get in the original game. In fact, Outward has a distinct lack of a healer class. You have some things like Gift of Blood from the Blood Sigil, but it sucks compared to this. Overall, I really like this mod. I don't think it's 100% balanced, but nearly perfect for what it wants to be, and that's fine. I think the amount of healing is great, the cool effects look awesome, and this might be the best co-op mod you're gonna find. Obviously, I wasn't big on the cleansing abilities as I couldn't get them to work well, and even if I could, I don't see how they're gonna be better than the mana regen. This has been the Purifier Mage mod, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I didn't actually fight anything in this video, which is odd for my channel, but it's a support skill tree. There really isn't anything to fight with. Love the idea of what this is and think it's well worth your time to check it out. Even without the co-op gameplay, the skill tree offers some cool ideas for solo play that you might want to look into. Consider liking the video down below, and I will catch you next time.